Alright, so we finished creating basically the furniture there, the sofa set for the house. Now we're going to create here is basically a little area rug or carpet, so to speak. Well, it's not total carpet. I believe carpets go throughout an entire house. This is just going to be a little area rug for the area where we're going to put our sofa and our coffee table in front of our TV and stuff like that. So I got a couple of reference images here of some rugs and area rugs I found on the internet. So you can see they come in on basically a bunch of shapes inside, and I've seen these round and oval shapes as well. We're just going to do basic rectangular one. So you can see we can make basically an elongated rectangular one, or one that's more of a square shape. So let's go ahead and get this done. Let me close this image. And this one right here, I think I can close that. I don't really need it. I'm going to maximize this view. I'm basically starting here with a new scene. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself a polygon plane. Something like that. Just to start off with. And I'm going to go to the parameters here and take the length and width segments, place that at 0. I'll be adding geometry. No thanks 3ds Max. I'll do that myself. Convert this thing to an editable poly. And I'm going to just start to basically, I'm going to get more of a rectangular shape, maybe something like this. That looks pretty good. I'm going to scale the whole thing up, maybe make it a little bit bigger. Okay, doesn't matter, I'll end up scaling it again later anyway. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, take this top polygon right here, and I'm going to extrude it upwards just a little tiny bit. Something like this. You can barely tell it's been extruded up. Very small amount. Okay, I'm not going to fiddle around with that too much. I'm going to turn this thing into a NURMS object here. Go to my subdivision surfaces. Increase the iterations to maybe 2. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edge mode, select this edge here, grab the ring. I'm going to go to connect. I'm going to connect that 2 times. And I'm going to pinch this out to the sides. So I get myself a sharper edge right there. Hit OK. I'm going to grab this edge now, grab its ring. I'm going to connect that and do the same exact thing like this. That way I get myself more of a square shape. See that? But the NURMS makes it look a little bit more natural and a little bit rounder. As opposed to just making it up of straight polygons, which would look too mechanical, too hard-edged. Okay. So now with that done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more detail to this, and I'll tell you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and drop a Turbosmooth modifier on top of this. I want to make sure that I turn my NURMS toggle off when I do that. Okay. So here is my Turbosmooth. This much for the Turbosmooth 1 iteration, then I've got 2 iterations. Might be a little bit too much. Let me go for about maybe 3 iterations. Now I do have quite an extra number of edges right there. I'm going to tone that down manually. So I'm going to give this thing about 3 iterations, and then I'm going to collapse that, convert it back to an editable poly. Okay, I'm going to take maybe every other edge here, and I'm going to grab their loops, and I'm just going to get rid of them because that's just way too many edges to have in that little area. And if I turn on NURMS toggle, you can see what I have here. The carpet has a little bit of thickness to it. Okay. Now here's what I'm going to do. Let me turn NURMS toggle off. I'm going to go to a top view. I'm going to select all of these middle polygons, basically the 4 center polygons, and I'm going to grow the selection out, not all the way. I'm going to grow to about maybe about this much. So I'm not going all the way around. So I'm doing something like maybe like this. Okay. And what I'm going to do with this is, let me go back to perspective view. With just these polygons selected, I'm going to go ahead and activate the, no, I'm not going to activate NURMS toggle just yet. I'm going to do that next. But first what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to my parametric deformers and add a noise modifier to this. Then I'll go back to my editable poly, and you know what? I'm not going to, Editor, edit that video, start again, 3, 2, 1. Instead of doing a NURBS toggle, what I'll do is I'll come up here to subdivision surfaces and drop a Turbosmooth on top of this. I'm going to turn on isoline display. I'm going to go back to my noise modifier here. I'm going to turn on the show end result. And I'm just going to start to adjust some of these parameters. So I'm going to turn on fractal. I'm going to give this some strength. I'm going to give it some strength in the X. So I'll go to maybe something like close to 0.1 is going to be good. I'm going to give it some strength in the Y as well. Something similar to that's pretty good. I'm also going to give this some strength in the Z. Something like that. Maybe 0.13 might work out well. We'll see. Scale is perfectly fine at 100. Over here, I probably want to take this and add maybe some more iterations to this. So let's max it out to about 10. And let's change the seed here. You can notice that there's very subtle changes on the object. So as we change the seed, you notice that the object starts to kind of change right there, and we really can't see much of a difference there. So let's see if we can't change some of this stuff. Let me take the roughness here and increase that. And as I increase the roughness, you can see that the object is starting to become a little bit deformed. So if I give it a roughness of 1, it's very subtle, but we have some deformation going on to make this thing look a little bit more natural. And not have it look so uniform. So you can see here in the edges, the way it catches the highlights there is a little bit more natural. And if you want to add a little bit more noise to this, which I'm actually going to go ahead and do, we can, well, we've maxed out the iterations and the roughness there. So what you can do is you can actually increase the scale here. As we increase the scale, really can't see much of an extra change right there. So what we're going to have to do is increase the strength, okay? But you don't want to go overboard with this because very small increments are going to give you very big. We haven't even gotten to 1, and we're still at below 1.0. And you can see that already this is making some pretty drastic changes to the object. So this looks pretty cool like this. So it's very subtle. You really don't see it, see the changes that much. But it will make a difference in terms of the way that it bounces the lighting off. Maybe get some more Y. And maybe a little bit more of the Z. We can go into a front view and see how the Z is affecting this. It's not affecting it too much. So maybe I'll go a little bit more. And you don't want to overdo it because then it's going to look kind of weird. But you can see here it looks kind of cool. See how the edges look right here? It's starting to look more like a fabric type of material. So really it's up to you, and it's up to your vision and how you want this to look. So if you want it to look very, very wrinkled, you can just keep increasing the strength. If you want more subtle effect, give it a little bit of strength. I'm going to go with this. I think this looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. So what I'm going to do now is with the Turbosmooth, I'm going to get rid of the Turbosmooth. We don't need it anymore. And I'm going to collapse the noise on top of the editable poly. And now what you can do is you can turn on NURBS toggle, and it's the same as adding the Turbosmooth. See that? So I'm going to take the NURBS toggle off. And the bottom doesn't have any polygons. If you want to, you could take the bottom and cap it. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I really don't see a need for doing that, simply because this is going to go on top of the floor. No one's ever going to see this from the bottom, so there's no need to have any polygons there. Okay. So that's pretty much going to do it for this sort of area rug carpet kind of deal over here. Looks kind of weird right there, but when we turn on NURBS toggle, that should fix itself right up. Still looks a little bit weird right there. So what I'll do is I'll probably come in here and try to find out what's going on. This vertex here is penetrating through another vertex. So I'll just kind of pull that out. This vertex over here is way out there. Obviously not good, so I'll pull that in. And wherever you find some weird stuff like this, just try to fix that up. You don't want that looking all awkward and creating some artifacts in the geometry. Looks like it could only happen in a couple of places, so I should be good. If anything, I can always fix it later. I'm going to turn NURBS toggle off. Make sure it's off at this point. I'm going to call this thing rug. Okay. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to export it. And I'm going to export it as an OBJ. I'm going to place it in an import folder just so it's easier to find later. I'm going to export as an OBJ file. I'm going to call it rug. Hit save. My options here, I'm going to leave all these options the way that I have them here. I'm going to leave it on polygons, okay? And I'm going to hit export, hit done. Okay, that's pretty much finished. So that's going to do it for this video.